Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to 2020. Today, we're gonna make a New Year arrangement. It's gonna be a Japanese-inspired New Year arrangement. So let's get started. For today's arrangement, I have chosen this basket. I like how it's sort of getting a bit more narrow on the bottom, so it's sort of a bit like coming off the table. If you see some of the materials that I have here in front of me, we have some tillandsia, some great massive pine cones. Other things, we have some succulents, a different kind of air plants, tillandsia, some branches with some cool moss on, and then leaving into a lot of these different flowers that I have picked up for today's arrangement. Some of the really sort of characteristics for what we often use here in Japan for New Year is the flowering kale. This one has been colored, so it's really just beautiful and dark. We also have the murasaki skibu, it's called in Japanese beauty berry. We have some beautiful viburnum tinus berries as well. I like to use a lot of these a little bit like darker colors. I'm going to use a bit of silver glitter, as well as some of these pepper berries that has been painted silver to sort of give it a bit of a festive touch to the arrangement. So let's get started on the green setting. I will work on the eucalyptus here first. So as I'm preparing the different greens here, the eucalyptus, I'm sort of chopping them up here to make like smaller pieces. Hereafter I take off the bottom part of the leaves so that there is no leaves coming inside or near the sponge. So there is a clean surface, a clean stem before I put it into the sponge like this. The same goes for the viburnum. So here also I cut everything on an angle here, prepare all of the small pieces like this, make sure they are clean for foliage, and then I put in one side, go to the other side, go in the front, and go in the back. As always, moving the direction, turning the basket, and that's how I get started. So here basically I have made the first sort of circle of greenery, the eucalyptus and the viburnum. From now on I will start to build a little bit like a dome shape of the same greenery before I get started with using some of the different other materials that I have prepared. Okay, so basically here I have what I call the green setting, the sort of the start of the arrangement. Only two types of greenery, and from here on I will start to play around with the different materials. If you come closer here, you can see we have some pine, the tillandsia again, the berries, the flowering kale, some leucadendrons, again the Japanese beauty berries. I also have some fun like seed pods, it's like a bean seeds, the massive pine cones here. What I'm gonna do with this arrangement, I'm gonna do a lot of grouping, which means that I'm gonna sort of gather all of the same materials in different groups around this arrangement and sort of make a little bit sort of unbalanced, interesting combination throughout the arrangement here. So I will start with some of the bigger things. What I often do is I take some of the bigger materials first and then I go smaller. You can start with the tillandsia here. I go in here and I literally pierce the whole thing like this and make a U-pin like this. In that way I can sort of put it in to the sponge like this. So here on this side I'm putting in some of the pine, and then I'll go directly opposite. So you have the 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock kind of technique where you constantly sort of move in those patterns to get a nice sort of balance throughout the arrangement. Here I have some other type of Leucadendron. What you can see here, these are really sort of closed up. A little trick you can do is when you've taken off the leaves here, sort of like take your hand and put it in here and sort of like help it sort of open up a little bit here, so you can better see this beautiful sort of middle of the flower. I sort of squeeze gently, so this sort of opens up. This one already done. So you can see it's quite a difference between this one and this one. Again, I'll make another grouping part here, opposite pines. I often work in uneven numbers, so I would do 3 or 5 or 7 or so forth to create one nice sort of impactful group. I'll show you here. So here you can really see how this has become quite sort of powerful point right here. And then I will put in some of painted pepperberry here. I think they're a little bit too weak to use as they are, so I actually think I'm going to wire them up a bit. Sometimes I use the natural stem, or sometimes I will go in and use a wire. So here you can see really sort of very impactful between the darker colors. I try to create a lot of contrast. It could be big, small, it could be bright or dark. So here you can see perfect contrast between the very dark colored flowering kale, the pepperberries going into the pine, and then again a whole different structure here with the dark middle of the leucadendron. Here I'm going to put some of the Japanese beauty berries, the Murasaki Skibe, here in the middle of the arrangement. I think these are so pretty. I'm going to make like quite a fat group here in the middle to really give that beautiful, dense purple color to the middle of the arrangement. I'm not doing the very middle, which is probably around here. I'm always doing a little bit to the side of the arrangement. Go a little bit slightly stronger. For the center of the arrangement, I've decided to use these big pine cones, which I want to put here in the middle. Before that, I was thinking to make them a little more festive, to use some glitter. I will use first, before I put on the glitter, I use like a spray glue. If you don't have spray glue, you can also use, for instance, a hair lacquer, which is also quite effective for like glitter to stick. What you can also do, which I love to use a lot, is the needles here from the pine. You can go sort of a bit like this, give them a little bit of a spray as well. Usually putting the wire over like that, really putting it very tight so you can see the wire sort of gets covered within the moss. I will start to also put a few things like on top of what I've already done. For instance, here on top of the silver pepperberries, I will put a couple of succulents. For these succulents here, I'm just putting in a wire like this, and I will sort of go like as a second layer on top of the pepperberries. The small apples here, you can choose pretty much whichever direction that you feel like. I often say, as long as you hit the center of the apple, it doesn't really matter where you put in the stick here. I have some of these sea star ferns. This one I like a lot as like a second layer, so I would usually put that on top, because what that does, it sort of stops your eye first here, and then later on you sort of dig into what's below this fern here, so you really feel that there's several layers of colors throughout the arrangement. I feel that the arrangement now has got all the different exciting points that I wanted it to have. I feel it's very dramatic and a sort of exciting new way to the new year. A lot of different points. As you turn it or look from different parts of the arrangement, you will see something new. As I explained before, the grouping makes it sort of very strong and impactful arrangement. This is the end of this arrangement. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys will have a wonderful new year, and I look forward to catch up with you soon. Thank you.